Have you ever asked yourself why you stay in a relationship that hurts you? You know it drains your energy. You've seen that the other person isn't going to change, and yet you remain. You've tried to walk away, promised yourself this would be the last time, but something always drags you back. It's not because they've manipulated you so expertly that you've lost all agency. It isn't purely because your love for them is so deep you can't let go. And it's not because of a few good memories you cling to. The real issue lies in what this relationship has stirred within you. Toxic bonds aren't built on arguments and lies alone. They're woven from old wounds that never healed, from the fear of being alone, from a desperate need for validation, from a cycle of confusion and hope. You're not trapped by their actions. You're trapped by what being with them makes you feel. That's why simply ending things on paper often isn't enough. You may physically leave the situation, but inside, a part of you keeps replaying the good times, rationalizing the bad times, and wondering if just one more chance might fix everything. Because the real tether isn't the person. It's the psychological bond the two of you forged, a bond so strong it warps your perspective and convinces you to tolerate what you swore you never would. But hear this, you are not weak, and you haven't failed. This isn't about shame or guilt, it's about understanding. Once you see that the problem isn't just the relationship itself, but the patterns and wounds it reactivates in you, you can begin to unravel that invisible chain and finally make a choice based on what you need, not what you fear. Clarity is your first step back to power. Because once you see what's really keeping you stuck, you can finally choose a different path. If there's a part of you that feels pulled back into a relationship you know you should leave, stick around. By the end of this, you'll see precisely why the same cycles keep repeating, and more importantly, how to shatter them for good. Let's dive in. Why do some people seem doomed to toxic partnerships, while others walk away without a backward glance? The secret lies in how we learn to love. Love isn't a random spark. It's a pattern we build brick by brick from our earliest days. From the moment we're born, our brains link safety to the affection we receive. If you grew up in a home where care was steady, dependable, and kind, you internalized relationships as a secure refuge. But if your childhood love came with a dash of coldness, a dash of rejection, or even harsh treatment, you learned something very different. Love is unstable, a treasure you have to fight or perform to earn, and that lesson can trap you. When you believe affection must be chased, negotiated, or proven, even at your own expense, you'll keep gravitating toward people who mirror that early uncertainty. Suddenly the pain feels strangely familiar, and letting go feels as risky as staying. Understanding this, realizing that your attachment style was conditioned long before you knew what a relationship was, gives you the clarity you need to rewrite that script. Once you see why you stayed, you can learn how to leave, and that's exactly what we'll tackle next. When love and pain were woven together in your earliest years, your brain learned that affection comes wrapped in uncertainty. So when someone treats you with consistent warmth and kindness, it can feel strangely flat or even suspicious. But when another person offers brief moments of attention, deep connection one day, cold distance the next, your mind lights up. This is the pattern you know as love. This is the trap of emotional conditioning. You aren't only attached to that person, you're clinging to the familiar cycle they embody. They stir in you an old, unspoken hope. Perhaps this time, you'll finally prove yourself worthy. Perhaps this time, rejection will reverse itself into acceptance. And that's why leaving such a relationship feels nearly impossible. The fear of loss isn't really about being unable to live without them. It's about the dread of abandoning that unresolved story. You feel compelled to stay and fight, to show that you can make it work, to persuade them somehow to deliver the love you've always yearned for. But here's the turning point. Once you recognize that this fear originates not from their power over you, but from your mind's early wiring, you reclaim your freedom. You can begin to see that the real bond isn't to the person, but to the pattern. And once you interrupt that pattern by refusing to chase the next fleeting moment of affection, you open space for a healthier attachment, one built on genuine security, not on the addictive pulse of uncertainty. Only then can you step away without the chains of your past dragging you back, and finally experience a love that feels safe, steady, and wholly yours. But here's the truth. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. This relationship isn't a measure of how lovable you are, and its survival doesn't depend on you passing some secret test. The real key to escaping is seeing the cycle for what it is and understanding the hidden force that keeps you glued to someone who hurts you. Even when this partnership inflicts pain, every so often you'll experience a moment of pure connection, perhaps a genuine apology, an unexpected gesture, or a night of effortless intimacy. You clutch those flashes of warmth like lifelines, replaying them in your mind as proof that this is the real us, and dismissing all the hurt as temporary blips. But this isn't love, it's addiction, fueled by a process psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. B.F. Skinner discovered this in his classic experiments. Rats pressing a lever for food pellets will give up if they're rewarded every single time, because the action no longer feels special. But when rewards arrive unpredictably, the rats press the lever relentlessly, desperate for the next surprise pellet. In human relationships, those unpredictable bursts of affection become your pellets. You never know when kindness or attention will return, so you cling, hoping each interaction will fill the emptiness. This unpredictable cycle rewires your brain's reward system. You begin rationalizing cruelty, forgiving betrayal, and returning again and again, even when you know you deserve better, because you're chasing the high of that next fleeting moment of care. Once you recognize intermittent reinforcement at work in your attachment, you gain the clarity to step back. You can refuse to press that lever any longer, break the pattern, and reclaim your freedom. Scientists found that when they fed rats every single time they pressed a lever, the rats eventually gave up. They got bored. But when food appeared only at random intervals, the rats became frantic. They pounded that lever again and again, desperate for the next pellet, unable to tear themselves away. Now swap out rats for people, and that lever for your relationship. If your partner were cruel 24/7, walking away would be easy. Instead, they sprinkle in unpredictable doses of affection, just enough to reel you back in. Those rare moments of warmth become your prize, and you tolerate more and more disappointment just to chase the next high. At first, you demanded respect, reciprocity, real commitment. But after countless emotional whiplashes, your bar lowers. You settle for crumbs, clinging to the memory of when things felt right. You tell yourself that if you endure just a little longer, if you change this trait or wait a bit more, they'll become that loving person again. This is the essence of intermittent reinforcement. A cycle not of love, but of control. A toxic partner knows they don't need to be kind all the time. They just need to dose you with enough warmth to keep you hooked. Leaving stings precisely because it means giving up hope. The hope that one day everything will be different. Accepting that reality is painful, but it's the only way to break free. As long as you stay trapped in this cycle, your sense of self will erode. You'll begin to lose sight of what you truly deserve. Self-doubt creeps in. You question your worth, wondering if you're the one at fault. Slowly, you become conditioned to settle for less, to expect less, to be less. Worse yet, your partner may convince you that you're overreacting, that you're the problem, that none of it is as bad as you remember. If you've ever caught yourself thinking, "Am I losing my mind? Is this all in my head?" then you've already experienced the cruel power of psychological manipulation, and that brings us to one of its most insidious forms: gaslighting. Gaslighting isn't just lying, it's twisting the truth so thoroughly that you start to doubt your feelings, your memories, even your sanity. It's an extremely potent control tactic because it leaves you trapped in a fog of uncertainty, unable to trust yourself or clearly see the abuse, and that makes escaping feel almost impossible. If you've ever hesitated to call out mistreatment because you wondered, "Am I imagining this?" then you know gaslighting's toll. In the next part, we'll unpack how gaslighting, projection, and other emotional manipulations work, and how you can begin to reclaim your reality. Here's how gaslighting plays out in real time. You spot a lie or a glaring inconsistency, and you call it out. Instead of owning up, they turn it back on you, saying you're too sensitive, you're imagining things, you always blow everything out of proportion. Lines like, "That never happened," or "You must be confused," become all too familiar. Gradually, you start replaying every exchange, searching your memory for proof, doubting even your own eyes. With each denial, reality itself feels more blurred, and the more you question your perceptions, the more you cling to their version of events to know what's true. Gaslighting is only one of their weapons. Projection is another. They dump their flaws onto you. If they lie, you're labeled a liar. If they stray, you're accused of unfaithfulness. If they lash out, you must be the one provoking them. Before long, you swallow guilt that isn't yours, carrying an emotional load meant for them. The aim of these tactics isn't merely to dodge responsibility, it's to wear you down into confusion and exhaustion. An emotionally depleted you is far easier to steer. When your confidence is in pieces, even the smallest gesture of kindness, or even just the promise of it, feels like a lifeline. You begin to accept crumbs of affection as if they were a feast, because at that point, anything feels better than the ache of abandonment. When your sense of what's real has been repeatedly distorted, you stop trusting yourself and start leaning blindly on your partner's version of events. That brings us to a deeper question. If it's so obvious this relationship is tearing you apart, why can't you leave? The answer lies in two intertwined fears: the terror of loneliness and the false hope that you can somehow change them. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "But what if I never find anyone else?" Or, "What if nobody else could possibly love me like they do?" Maybe you've told yourself, "If I just try harder, have more patience, fix this one thing about myself, then everything will finally work." If so, you're trapped by the world's loudest messages, that solitude equals failure, and that love, any love, is better than being alone. This dread of isolation isn't irrational. It's wired deep into us. From childhood, we're primed to see aloneness as a crisis to avoid. Movies, songs, social feeds all trumpet that finding the one is life's supreme achievement, so being single feels like a verdict on your worth. Layer onto that a relationship that's shredded your confidence, teaching you that only this person gets you, accepts you, or loves you, and you end up convinced that leaving would be a step into an abyss. But here's the real revelation. What you're afraid of isn't truly loneliness. It's emotional withdrawal. You've grown accustomed to the highs and lows of this bond. Its very instability has become your emotional tether. Walking away doesn't just end the bad times. It cuts you off from the only connection you know, no matter how toxic. Recognizing that distinction between the fear of being physically alone and the pain of losing your emotional crutch gives you the power to face the withdrawal and heal rather than cling to a destructive cycle. Toxic relationships forge a dependency that mirrors addiction. You're not simply attached to the person, you're ensnared by hope. You replay those early days in your mind when every gesture felt electric and everything fell into place. You convince yourself that if you hang on just a little longer, that version of them will reappear. You excuse the harsh words as just a bad day, cling to promises whispered in softer moments, and turn a blind eye to the pattern of hurt that follows. This isn't love, it's the mirage of change. Real transformation doesn't occur because you love harder, sacrifice more, or plead long enough. True change only takes root when the other person recognizes their own wounds and decides for themselves to heal. Ask yourself, how many times have they vowed it will be different this time? How many promises dissolved into the same excuses? If nothing shifts, it's not your fault. You were never meant to fix them. Accepting that truth stings. It means surrendering the fantasy that kept you going. It means confronting the void left by a relationship that once consumed your every thought. It means owning the fact that you invested your time, your energy, even your self-worth in something that had no foundation. Yet understand this, that pain is fleeting. The sorrow of leaving will pass, but the anguish of staying on a destructive loop can last a lifetime. Walking away isn't just about forcing your feet through the door. It's about severing the emotional tether, rewiring your longing, and reconstructing the person you thought you were through the lens of who you truly can be. In the next section, we'll dive into how to dismantle that bond, reset your mental patterns, and rebuild an identity unshackled by old wounds, so you can finally find the freedom you deserve. Breaking free from this cycle starts with recognizing that leaving isn't a logical switch. It's an emotional overhaul. Even when you know the relationship is toxic, a part of you clings to the hope that it could be different, that no one else will ever understand you like they do. To truly heal, you must reprogram how your brain links love and validation to your sense of self. Think of it as an emotional detox. Every tiny drop of affection was a reinforcement, every flicker of hope an addictive hit. Now you need to stop the supply and let your system clear itself. Step 1. Total break. No contact. If you want genuine recovery, any contact will pull you right back into the loop of confusion. That means no texts, no calls, no "let's stay friends." You might rationalize, what if they've changed? Or maybe I just need closure. But if change was possible, it would have happened already, and closure is often just another tether. Block their number, mute or unfollow on social media, erase the crumbs they leave behind. Yes, this feels brutal, but it's the only way to stop the unpredictable hits of intermittent reinforcement and begin to reclaim your mind. Step 2. Endure the withdrawal. No relapses. In the first days, you'll feel a hollow ache. Your brain has been trained to seek their approval for a hit of completeness, and now that source is gone. This isn't longing, it's withdrawal. Physical and emotional restlessness, obsessive thoughts, the urge to check your phone. Recognize these sensations as the body detoxing from addiction, not evidence you've made a mistake. Don't cave. Each time you resist the pull, you weaken the old neural pathways and allow healthier ones to form. Beyond those initial steps, you'll need to rebuild your identity around who you are, not who you were in that relationship. Cultivate your own routines, rediscover passions you abandoned, and strengthen relationships where respect and consistency flow freely. Remember, real love doesn't come in sporadic doses. It arrives as a steady presence. By enforcing no contact, riding out the withdrawal, and reconstructing your life on your terms, you'll shatter the bond that once seemed unbreakable and emerge ready to receive the respect and affection you truly deserve. Your brain will beg you to return. It'll spotlight the sweet memories and downplay the pain, whispering, maybe you overreacted. That's the pull of your addiction, trying to reel you back in. The cure is to overwrite the old pattern with a new one. Fill the void you're used to filling with them. Carve out a daily routine that keeps you moving. Hit the gym, curl up with a book, reconnect with friends who lift you up. Above all, don't romanticize what was already rotten. Write down every hurtful lie, every broken promise, and revisit that list each time you feel the urge to slip back. Step 3. Rebuild your identity. Toxic love chips away at your self-worth until you see yourself only through their critical eyes. You start believing you're not enough and that you must reshape yourself to earn their approval. Now it's time to reprogram that. Ask yourself, who was I before this all began? What passions did I abandon? What dreams did I silence to fit into their world? Recovery means reclaiming your voice, your desires, your independence. You don't need a partner to be whole. That lie was sold to you by a culture that profits from your insecurities. The one love that truly heals is self-love. And that's where we go next. Because leaving a toxic relationship isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun for a journey of genuine freedom. True liberation ignites the moment you choose yourself. You face a crossroads. Keep destroying your spirit in pursuit of a love that never existed, or finally stand up for what you deserve. Yes, that lingering doubt may still whisper, what if they've really changed? What if you're blowing this out of proportion? What if you never find anyone else? Acknowledge it. But remember, clinging to uncertainty only chains you to pain. Step into the unknown with courage and choose the person who matters most, you. That nagging voice isn't truly yours. It was implanted piece by every crumb of affection you tolerated, by each cycle of manipulation that chipped away at your self-worth, by every moment you put your needs last to placate someone who never truly valued you. But now you know. Now you see. And here's the unvarnished truth. No one is coming to rescue you. No sudden insight will magically break this pattern. Either you decide right now, or you'll keep replaying this destructive cycle until there's nothing left of you. Because that's the fate of anyone who lingers in a toxic relationship. Emotional depletion so complete, you lose track of who you are, what you love, what you want. You shrink into a supporting role in someone else's story. And by the time you realize it, it may already be too late. So stop waiting. Choose to walk away. Choose to shatter the cycle. Choose to rebuild your life on your own terms. Yes, it will hurt. The first days will be agony. You'll ache for their presence, wonder if you made the right call, doubt your own judgment. But give it time. Gradually the haze will clear. You'll see that what you mistook for love was never love at all. You'll remember the person you were before this began. And one morning, almost without warning, you'll wake up and realize you are free. But it all hinges on that first step, making this choice today. So tell me, which part of this video cut through the fog for you? What truth landed hardest? Share it in the comments. Your voice might be the spark someone else needs to break free. And don't stop here. The next video is critical to your journey. If you've come this far, you owe it to yourself to keep going. Trust me, you can't pause now.